Autumn Nation Series, folks. Team of the week for the first round of the competition. I've gone ahead and picked 15 guys. I've also got a list of honourable mentions, which is lengthy. But yeah, we'll go through some of the key guys from the week that was. By all means, just remember it's just my team and not the right team. Don't let it offend. But yeah, we'll go through 15 guys, and you guys can let me know your thoughts on who you would pick if you were picking such a team. One of my props, I'm going with one of my favourite players, Argentinian Thomas Gallo. Love me a ball carrying prop, and in the win over the English, Gallo, I thought, held up pretty well, man. Only the 4 carries, but still manages 13 metres. Like, in terms of props who get carries over the advantage line, there's not many better than Gallo. Like, the average prop kind of gets, 4 from 4. That would be normal. So 4 for 13 is massive. Beats 2 defenders. He doesn't pass. So basically, if he gets the ball, you know what he's going to do with it. He makes 8 from 8 tackles, including one of them, I think, on Farrell, where Farrell kind of shovels the ball back, which ends up going loose for Carreras to pounce on for a try. So his defence kind of makes a try. He does concede 1 penalty. I don't think it was at scrum time. Argentina only conceded 2 scrum penalties, I think, the whole game. England, I think, had 3. So Gallo stood up at scrum time pretty well, which is your primary role as a prop. And yeah, I just thought he overall did pretty well. Tight head prop, I ended up going with a Scotsman in Xander Fagerson. Now, that wasn't the prettiest game from Scotland ever. I mean, it was a solid enough win without being kind of phenomenally outstanding. And when I talk about props who don't really get over the advantage line that much, I mean, he's got 3 carries for no meters, apparently. So, yeah, that's kind of par for the course for a lot of props, to be honest. He's about 3 meters short of the average. He has 1 pass, so that's more than Gallo, but 12 from 12 tackles. Proper defensive shift from Xander. He also wins a turnover. He does give away 1 penalty. Again, I don't remember it being at scrum time. The Fijians conceded, I think, 4 scrum penalties to Scotland's 1. So the scrum was doing very well for Scotland. I mean, the scrum itself is the platform for the Hastings try, right? At the end of the first half, scrum's going forward, gets advantage, and then that allows the backs to do their thing. So where does all that platform come from? It comes from the props doing their thing. I mean, he does kind of get pushed over for the second Fijian try, but there's like 3 Fijian forwards and pretty much just him. So I'm not sure if I can put a black mark on Xander for that one. That's just, he got kind of isolated, and I think he might have had a halfback or somebody next to him, so he needed some more Scottish muscle next to him. But there you go. Those are your props. Hooker was a tough one. I think probably the most competitive of all the positions, but I went with Dan Sheehan in that performance against the South Africans. He has 3 runs for 3 meters, which is actually probably pretty below average for him. But you got to remember, he gets the chance to show the wheels when he's chasing that kind of, was it a kick through? He almost beats, he does beat Jesse Creel to it, and he almost gets himself a try. But it ends up being a knock-on because his hand knocks it forward before it puts any downward pressure on it. So the guy is certainly dangerous, and the South Africans would have known all about him in that game. He has 1 pass, but key for him, the Irish line-out operated almost flawlessly. They did miss 1 during the whole game. It was at 92%. He makes 10 from 10 tackles, doesn't concede any penalties, so he does his core role really well. Has a little bit of flair. 2 turnovers conceded. 1 of those will be that attempted try, so I won't hold that one against them. But overall, Dan Sheehan is a really, really dangerous player. You guys seem pretty stacked in that position in Ireland, to be fair. So that's your front row. Second row, I ended up going with another Irishman in Tyke Byrne. Been one of my favourites for a long time. Really pleasing to see him go as well as he did. 7 runs, 5 meters, a defender beaten. It's not startling stuff, to be honest. Ball in hand, it's pretty par for the course for a lock. But he has 8 passes, which shows that the Irish, I mean, they love their passing game, but they back their big men to get involved, and he's one of the guys who's got the skill set to do that. He also wins 2 lineouts, but his core stuff, 11 from 12 tackles, wins 1 turnover, disrupts at maul time, doesn't concede any penalties, even has a hand in the Hansen try, right, where there was like the passing from multiple members of the Irish forward pack out wide. Byrne is one of those guys. So one of those 8 passes helps set up a try. So, yeah, man, Tyke Bird is a real nuisance, and he's a really good player. So, happy to have him in there. Alongside him, I put one of the losing players in Big EBEN ETZEBETH. I think he may be my only losing player. It's always easier to pick the winning players, especially if it's like a 50-50 call. But ETZEBETH, I still think, stands out even when the box lost. 13 carries for 16 metres. If you want to talk about busy, Big EBEN was busy. That's among the most carries you will see from anyone this week. And the fact that a lock is getting over a metre a carry shows you he's doing something right. He beats a defender. Not to mention he has a try assist. Not something you'll see that often from Big EBEN. But he draws about 3 tacklers out wide and then shovels the ball pretty much one-handed to Kurtley Aronson. So a bit of a thing of beauty. It counts as his offload, so 2 passes, 1 offload. Also wins 3 lineouts. I think he did get beaten to one of them by James Ryan at a key moment, which is unfortunate. But, I mean, sometimes that happens. 16 from 16 tackles. I think he was South Africa's top tackler. He does have 2 turnovers conceded. I think one of them is the disrupted lineout from Ryan. I think it actually hits Eben's hand. But no penalties conceded, like I mentioned, try assist. Big EBEN put in a big old shift. So there's your type 5. Lucy's, I ended up going with an Argentinian and Marcos, if I can spell his name, Marcos KREMER. He's a big unit. 1 run, 7 metres. That's not bad for 1 carry, 1 pass. So it's not really about the ball and hand stuff for big Marcos KREMER. It's 19 from 21 tackles. Yeah, Argentina made a lot of tackles in that game, and it's not sexy stuff. There's certainly Lucy's who scored tries and did other things this week, but, I mean, credit where it's due. Argentina backed themselves to defend England's attack, and KREMER is a key part of that. Doesn't even concede any penalties, which is unusual as well, because he's one known to kind of flirt with the old the ref's whistle in terms of being a little bit on the edge. But nah, man, he did really well, really well. Just core role stuff. He's always involved. You can see him cleaning out and just putting his big body to use. So Marcos KREMER, I thought, very busy performance. Another Lucy from the Irish squad, I went with old Josh van der Fleer. He's done pretty tidy, hasn't he? He scores a try, which was pretty sweet. Pretty sweet from that maul, wasn't it? I mean, that maul looked for all money like it was going out, but somehow he managed to dot it down before any part of his body hit it into touch. So perfect momentum, perfect timing. Did it phenomenally well. Also, 18 metres from 5 runs. Is some pretty good ball carrying. Beats 2 defenders as well. Only the 2 passes, so he prefers a run, but why not? If you're good at it, do it. And 15 from 15 tackles, man. He's a proper tackling machine. You got to love that about him. He pretty much runs the whole game as well. He doesn't walk anywhere. He just runs. He must have been a nightmare as a child. He must have just been absolutely full of beans. But 1 turnover conceded, 1 penalty conceded if you're looking for something negative to talk about. But ultimately, van der Fleer, pretty tidy. And then I've actually got an All Black, an old Ardie Savea. He had a pretty good game. I mean, number 8 was really tough to pick this week, but I had to go Savea. Forgive me, I'm an All Blacks fan. He scores a try. The big dive was maybe unnecessary, and he almost got held up by Will Rowlands, but he still gets himself over the line. He gets a try assist, but you got no rights to get a try assist with the big dummy. Like, how Nicky Smith fell for it, I'm not sure. We've seen him do it many times down here in Super Rugby, and pretty much every defender who's been standing opposite him when he does that big dummy is just still looking at him like, what are you doing? But finally someone fell for it, hook, line and sinker, so he's able to take that space and set up Aaron Smith for a try. 15 carries is even more than Big EBEN this week. That's a huge work rate. 39 metres, 3 defenders beaten. 11 passes. Like, the guy's just involved in everything. He must be a coach's dream with his work rate. 2 offloads, wins 2 lineouts, 10 from 10 tackles, wins 2 turnovers, so gets the All Blacks out of dodge at kind of key times. It's his tap and go that kind of sets up the second Cody Taylor try. Next phase they score. Doesn't concede any penalties, man. Like Ardie Savea, he's just a classy player. What else can I say? I'm very happy he plays on my team. So there you go. That's your forward pack. Number 9. A guy who rolled back the clock a wee bit, and there were some pretty good performances from 9 this week as well. Aaron Smith. 2 tries. I don't remember the last time I saw him score 2 tries. One of them was a great snipe. Like, he's not really had that much of a running game for a wee while. His passing game is elite, which is why he's in the squad. Like, that's his primary role. But man, 4 runs, 35 metres, 2 clean breaks, 4 defenders beaten for Aaron Smith. For any halfback. Those are good numbers, man. Those are not rookie numbers. 2 tries, 60 passes and 8 kicks. Distribution stuff still on point. 11 from 12 tackles and even wins a turnover. Like for any number 9, those are great numbers. He does have 1 turnover conceded, but bloody hell. What a classy performance from Aaron Smith. Really, really looked the business. So got the All Blacks on the front foot. Yeah, no real complaints from me about Aaron Smith and that performance. But it's an Italian who goes alongside him, Paolo Garbisi. He's the business, isn't he? Italy's lucky to have this guy. He's hopefully going to have a long and prosperous career in Italian colours. He's such a joy to watch. He ends up taking over the kicking when Tommaso Allen goes off, so he ends up with a conversion and a penalty, so he gets 7 points of his own. 26 passes and 13 kicks, so certainly pulling the strings of the Italian backline, but I mean 3 try assists. He puts Brex through a gap, so he goes over. He gives 1 to Ioane out wide. He dinks it through for Bruno. Like, I think he might have even had 2 passes to Ioane, but yeah, man. Garbisi just creates tries. So 3 of them in one game is a pretty phenomenal effort. Himself, he has 4 runs for 14 metres, beats 3 defenders. Defensively, 7 from 8 tackles, wins a turnover. He does concede 1 penalty, but man, the guy had a wee bit of everything, and he's still young. He's getting better, so very, very promising for Italian rugby, like I say. Midfield, I have gone with another All Black, and JORDIE Barrett. JORDIE Barrett's looking pretty good at 12, isn't he? When they finally give him a chance. It only took an absolute injury crisis and Lamapi not to get a contract in New Zealand for JORDIE to get a crack at 12. But he's looking pretty good. He scores 2 tries. The second one, he's pretty much just through a gap from his brother. But the first one, aerial ball where he beats the Welshman in the air. So cracker stuff for that one. 13 runs, 39 metres, including a clean break and 4 defenders beaten. The guy's big enough to carry some ball. He's big enough to jump in the air. Defensively, 11 from 12 tackles. He kicks 2 times, passes 5 times, including a couple offloads. Does concede 1 penalty. But man, JORDIE Barrett, more time in the 12 jersey. So far, so good. So far, so very, very good from JORDIE Barrett in the number 12 jersey. Other midfielder, 13 was kind of a tricky one, but I went with Juan Ignacio Brex from the Italian squad. He had a pretty good game, man, especially in the first half. He was very, very lively. He scores a try where he just runs a great line, just pierces through the Samoan defence. He sets up another try later on to Bruno. I think Bruno's first try. It all starts with him getting a line break, beating a defender, and he was just really good at that. 5 carries, 36 metres, but from 5 carries to have 5 defenders beaten and a clean break, that's a great shift. So Brex really, really did well in that regard. 7 passes, so busy with ball in hand as well. So high involvement rate, including 1 offload. 2 from 2 tackles, so not asked to do much defensively, but the Italians were really bossing that game. So it kind of makes sense. So, I think that's the first time I've ever had him in a team of the week. But well done, Juan Ignacio Brex. Outside backs, I've gone with an Argentinian, and Emiliano Boffelli. Did pretty well against England. Not only does he score a try, cracking one out on the left wing from a line-out move, he kicks a conversion and 6 penalties for a grand total of 25 points. Remember, Argentina scored 30. So 25 of them coming from Emiliano Boffelli. 6 runs, 25 metres, a clean break and a defender beaten. He was sharp when he did actually get the ball. He's also got 5 passes, so he's not just kind of tucking it up and running himself. He's got 1 kick from hand, 1 from 2 tackles, so that's not fantastic, but no penalties conceded. Ultimately, if Boffelli's not playing with that boot of his, I don't think they win that game. So, yeah, game changer. Absolute game changer for Argentina. On the other wing, I went with Damien PENAUD from France. He pretty much won the game with that last try. He did get burned by Tom Wright. He only got one hand on Tom Wright as Tom Wright went down the left wing. He might have disrupted Wright's run enough at the time. Wright was forced to pass, but he might have been going to pass anyway. But apart from that, he's got 5 runs for 70 metres, 6 defenders beaten and 2 clean breaks. So that's a hell of a return on investment, man. Like, very, very dangerous ball carrier. As I said, one of them ends in a try where he beats 2 defenders. He had a lot of work to do when Jalibert threw him that final pass. A lot of work to do, but he just goes, bugger it, I'm just going to win the game. And sure enough, he does. 8 passes as well, so huge involvements. 1 offload, 1 kick, 3 from 4 tackles. Probably the missed one is the one on Wright. No penalties conceded, but man, game winner. Absolute game winner. He is absolute class. And then finish off with another Frenchman, Thomas Ramos. Speaking of guys who kind of kicked their way to success, Ramos was similar. He didn't have quite the 100% record, but he still kicked 6 penalties and finishes with 20 points. In this game, does Ramos when you include the conversion on top. Also, the guy just runs the house down, man. And I know fullbacks get a bit of an easier go at it with often some free meters with nobody in front of them, but 13 runs for 113 meters and beaten 4 defenders, that's nothing to kind of turn your nose at, man. That's a pretty good shift for a guy who hasn't played 15 for the French for a wee while. He's kind of been out of favour, but he finally gets a go. 5 passes, 3 offloads, 8 kicks, so just pulling the strings at the back of that French backfield. Doesn't have to make any tackles apparently, which is a little bit disconcerting, but if your fullback is having to make tackles, then often that's speaking to a bit of a defensive breakdown. But yeah, I mean, he helps win the turnover. Remember when at the end of the first half, the French guys kicked it through? I think it was Fiku kicked it through and they piled over to get a turnover. Like Ramos is in there. Yeah, just running hard, man. So it doesn't concede any penalties. 20 points on the board. Pretty good shift. So there you go. That is the team of the week. I feel lousy to have no Aussies in here because you guys got so close. Tom Wright, I mean, Jock Campbell. If you guys win, I probably include them both in the team, to be fair. But they missed that final tackle, both of them. Aldrit and Marchand could equally be in the team from that game. From the Italians, Varney was great. He got man of the match. Ioane was great on the left wing. Bruno got 2 tries. Tuisui from Fiji, he was cracking. He got some good tackles and turnovers. Theo McFarlane from Samoa scored a great try. He missed a couple of tackles, but still was a high tackler. And yeah, just got through a bunch of work. Very dangerous ball in hand. Matt Fagerson got through 1 million tackles for Scotland as well. Darcy Graham got man of the match in that game. He was still pretty dangerous. Who else? Faletau for Wales. I think if you're going to pick a Welshman to go on a team of the week, he's probably your best candidate. But number 8s were just so competitive this week. Papali'i was good for the All Blacks. Likewise, Mo'unga. But I mean, Garbisi's 3 try assists had him, I think. Carreras also for Argentina. That's Santiago. He ran the show really well. Thokana Singer, if you're going to pick an Englishman, I thought his reintroduction into the English squad looked pretty good. Bagged himself a nice try and generally go over the advantage line pretty well. Mac Hansen took his try well. Played a good game. James Ryan, very busy. Jesse Creel at 13, I thought was defensively pretty good. I mean, he's no Lakanyawan ball in hand, but defensively, I thought he helped shut things down. But I could go on forever. We're already at 18 and a half minutes. I'm going to call it quits here. That's the team of the week. Let us know in the comments who you would have in your team if you were picking them. If you want to buy me a beer for looking up all those stats, there's a link down to that in the description. I hope you guys enjoyed the rugby this weekend. It was a cracker. And I'm going to turn my phone off and go see who's sending me all those messages because, yeah, that's been beeping the whole time if you heard it in the background. Anyway, you guys take care. I'll talk to you again soon.